Hello and welcome to the channel. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I really appreciate it. Now, honestly, like I don't know, I'm kind of like conflicted about this story. Um, you guys know me. I try to be transparent when it comes to certain situations. I always try to stay in the middle, and or I'm either gonna be on one side or the other side, but I always try to be, transparent on which way the story goes. So this is a very unfortunate case. Um, so here's a gist of it, but I'm gonna play the video anyway for you guys in a minute. I just wanted to give you a little bit of context and a little bit more information. So, if any time a police officer gets behind you and turns on his lights, your first instinct or your instinct to be to pull over. That's what you should do at all times, no matter what. Don't even think about it. Especially just no matter what the situation is. I don't care if you have drugs in the car, guns in the car. You're not going to get away. The radio is always faster than your car, okay? Unless it's a stolen vehicle and it's a really, really fast car, maybe you have a chance. But your window is literally that narrow. So to me, it's never worth running, no matter what it is. Whether you have a warrant out for your arrest, doesn't matter. Just pull over, um, do your time, do whatever you're supposed to do. At least you'll be alive. You know what I mean? So this is a very unfortunate case of, they were driving around the city or whatever, and then, the cop pulled up behind them for making it seem like they were doing something suspicious or whatever. So instead of stopping, they don't stop. They run, right? So that screams to me suspicious. Why would you run if you did nothing wrong? Why? That's the number one question. Why didn't they just stop? If they had just stopped and just dealt with the officer, give them all your information, whether your license is suspended, your insurance is suspended, all that stuff could be fixed. It's minor infraction. You know what I mean? You'll still be alive going home to your family at the end of the day. That what should matter. But instead, you decide to run. And then when you do that, you're putting not only yourself at risk, but you're also putting other people that's on the road at risk. So the police have to act accordingly. You know what I mean? So, but like I said, this whole situation is very unfortunate. Unfortunately, people lost their lives, and rest in peace to the deceased. So let's go ahead and watch the video. All right, here we go. Oh, hold on a second. I forgot to turn on the sound.
3 hours. A vigil was held at Madison's Penn Park to remember the lives of 3 people killed in a car crash on Monday night.
Medical examiner has identified those killed as 30-year-old Rashad Nelson, 30-year-old Aaron Willis, and 19-year-old Asia Ray. Tonight, family, friends, and other loved ones released balloons to honor the 3 who they say their deaths were preventable. The trio.
See, the deaths was preventable by the driver, but the driver decided to run. So you can't really blame the cops for what they have. They have to stop the vehicle somehow, some way, right? They have to react. They can't put other people that's on the road at risk. So if you, like I said early on, if you did nothing wrong, just pull over, regardless of what the situation is. Doesn't matter. Just pull the fuck over. The driver literally putting all those 2 passengers, they died for no fucking reason at all. I don't give a fuck. It's the driver's fault here. It's.
Inside
But yeah, let's blame the cops.
Cottage Grove after being pursued by Monona police. Following the crash, Monona police decided to temporarily pause the pursuit policy of that department. And tonight, the mother of one of those killed is calling for justice, saying her daughter did not need to die.
Our Braden Ross sat down with her and later with Monona Police Chief Brian Cheney to get answers on what happened that night and what's next.
It's going to be hard. It's so close to both of our birthdays.
Asia Ray's loved ones say she was a light in their lives.
She was a old soul. She was very sweet. She made sure everybody was happy.
But New Year's Day, that light went dark.
She would be truly missed from all of us.
Asia was killed when a Monona police pursuit ended in a crash. 2 others in that car also died.
I am sensitive to the fact that there are lives lost.
It was one of 4 chases initiated by Monona police in under a week, the 59th in 2023. Monday night's chase started when a Monona police officer tried to stop the car because it was, quote, suspicious. The driver then led police on a chase that ended when they laid spike strips.
See, so let me get this straight. The cops think the car is suspicious, right? Turns on his lights. And then they run. That's not suspicious at all. That just kind of like confirm to what the cop was thinking. If you have no reason, if there's nothing wrong, when a cop turns on his light, stopping isn't optional. It's not fucking optional. You just fucking do it. You have no choice. You pull the fuck over. Give him your license and your registration. You do what you're supposed to do. That's the law. You give him your information, and then you deal with it in court, whether you're getting a speeding ticket or whatever it is. Even if you get arrested, it's still better than dying. It's still better than putting those 2 people at risk that have nothing to do with whatever situation you're going through. Whether you it's hard for me to blame the cops on this one. They have their policies in place, and the chief is standing behind his officer because, in my opinion, they did nothing wrong. And how they stopped this vehicle is obviously they used a what is it called? They used a spike strip in order to puncture the tires, and the driver lost control, and unfortunately all 3 people died. It's very unfortunate.
Crashed.
Well, I'm so upset. Like, that's why you put spikes down, because the car was under suspicion. They didn't.
No, they didn't put the spike down because the car was under suspicion. They put the spike down because they were running. That's very fucking suspicious. Why the fuck would they run if there was nothing wrong? You know, I disagree with cops a lot when they're in the wrong, like when they do something that they're not supposed to do. I'm going to call them out. You know what I mean? But I'm also going to give them that grace when I feel like they're in the right. I mean, yes, they could have initiated other things that they could have done, but if they hadn't run, that wouldn't have happened. Get what I'm saying?
Didn't rob no bank. Didn't kill anybody. None of that.
Again, they might have not done anything criminal, but once this, I feel like I'm repeating myself here. Once the lights turn on, it even says it in the DMV. Once you're getting pulled over, you're supposed to pull over safely. My question is, why were they running? Nobody's answering that question. Why didn't they pull over? If they pulled over, none of this would have happened.
Just the car was under suspicion.
I don't want folks to only focus on the word suspicious. I will say that there were other factors involved, and that there is a legal reason for the traffic stop that is playing a factor here as well.
Monona Police Chief Brian Cheney defended his department's chase policy and added he believes his officer acted appropriately in this case.
Now is the time to be supportive of, obviously, the family, but now knowing that I'm saying that the officer obeyed the law and followed police policy and practice, we should continue to support the officer and this police department.
But for Asia's mom, that answer just isn't good enough.
So I want justice for my child. I want justice.
For News 3 Now, I'm Braden Ross.
But what kind of justice would you expect to get? I mean, maybe for the other 2, yeah, they have nothing to do with that, but unfortunately, you just got to be careful on who. That's why it's important to know who your kids' friends are, and even though if they're grown, it's just it's very important for you to check up on them and seeing how they're doing, and what kind of friends they have around them, what kind of people they hanging around them. I guess that's the most that's pretty important. Make sure you guys doing that, and to be honest with you, I've seen nothing wrong here for me. The way that it's being described and the way that she's trying to explain it, it's kind of like misleading too. She's saying that they did nothing wrong, they didn't do anything criminal. The only reason they put the spike strip is because they were under suspicion. No, the only reason they put the spike strip because they were running. So the cops have only a limited amount of time to initiate that stops, and then once the chase has been going on for a minute, they have to try to stop that vehicle as soon as possible before, what if, hypothetically speaking, what if the chase goes on and the person that's driving the car ends up in a collision with another car and kills those people? What if that happened? We've seen situations like that happen before too. So what if something like that happens? So the cops, they have just like limited amount of time in order to stop that vehicle, and sometimes it's any means necessary. They are changing their police, and they're getting a lot of heat for this whole situation. But just by watching the news and the story and just seeing what they're saying, I mean, like, this is a very unfortunate thing to happen. Rest in peace to the deceased, especially those two other innocent people that had nothing to do with the whole situation. The driver is at fault here, in my opinion. They should have stopped no matter what the fuck was going on. It doesn't matter. Just pull the fuck over. That driver is to blame for all this situation. And yeah, man, if they just fucking stopped, this whole situation wouldn't have happened. But anyway, so the police chief had to put out another statement because I'm sure they're getting a lot of a backlash. But in my opinion, this whole situation could have been avoided. Yes, they could have taken different measures, but they just worked with what they have at the time, and that's their best course of action, I guess. They could have just do what Arkansas Police Department does, just pit maneuver people going 100 miles per hour and doing, which is insane. I'm surprised somebody hasn't gotten killed, or at least I haven't reported on something like that, which is crazy, right? But anyway, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you guys on the next video, if I can find my mouse.